Your event changes the moment that you're no longer the only one who knows what's going on with your speakers. The work itself doesn't shrink and speakers don't stop needing things, but the information that you have and that you need regarding them no longer only sits with you. And when that happens, the speaker side of your event starts to feel like something completely different. If you've been thinking about the speaker side of things lately, you already know that it's more than just actually booking them for your event. There is how much your speaker shapes the whole event, all the things that you need to think about before you even send that invitation out to them. And then how much coordination actually goes into it once they've actually given you that yes. And then there's the part where your inbox can't really show you the full picture because it was meant for conversation and not for keeping status. So let me show you what happens when the full picture finally lives in one place. What changes for you, what changes for your team, and what changes for your speakers. Let's start with you. There's always going to be a part of you that wants to make sure that your speakers are being well taken care of. That instinct will never go away, and it shouldn't. It's part of being a good host. What changes isn't the caring, it's the time spent on gathering the information that can help you provide that care. Think about the week before your event. Without one central place to look, that week becomes a string of just checking the status of things. Do we have her bio? Did he send his head? Was travel confirmed? Who still needs rehearsal details? And before you can even answer that question, you have to go and find the information in your inbox, maybe in a spreadsheet, in a notes app, or even just from your memory. Now picture that same situation when all the details have been gathered and tracked along the way. You open one place and you can see it all. What's complete, what's outstanding, who needs a follow-up, and what's still in progress. You're no longer hunting for information, you're checking in on people. And that is a completely different experience of the final week. Hosting never truly becomes effortless, and that never truly is the full goal. The goal is to remove the avoidable stresses from the situation. Like those specific stresses that come from not knowing exactly where it is that you stand. Because those are the kind of stresses that eat away your attention and weigh on your mind during your busiest planning. And that is when you have the least amount of time to spare. But the biggest change isn't actually what happens for you. It's what happens when your team can see the full picture. This is a real change because a lot of the time, the speaker's side doesn't weigh on you because there's so many details. It wears on you because a lot of the time that information is trapped just with one person, and that's usually you. And I have lived that version where everything has run through me. Someone needed travel details, someone needed someone's bio, someone wanted to know whether someone's flight had been booked or who their contact details were. And if it wasn't somewhere that they could actually access it, that meant they had to come to me to ask for it, which then meant I had to stop what I was doing to search for that information to give to them. No one was doing anything wrong. It was just that that information was living in one place, either in my inbox, in my notes, or in my own head. Once I moved that information into a central place, the whole dynamic changed. All I had to do was refer them to a location anytime someone had a question. That way they could pull up whatever information they needed whenever they needed, which was being updated and kept up to date in real time. And then they would only come to me with any questions that the answer genuinely couldn't be found there. And that's what this really comes down to. You're not the only one who knows where the speakers stand. That information is no longer trapped with just you anymore. And when it's not trapped with you, that means your team can then step in and help, which is what you've wanted all along. And the speaker side of things is just one place where this kind of pressure builds up. This kind of pressure builds up in any situation where everything lives with one person instead of being shared with the wider team. So if you're curious about where your event might be putting that kind of pressure on you, I have a free assessment called the Event Pulse Check. It only takes a few minutes and you get your results right away, and it'll tell you where things are solid and where areas might need a little bit more work. If you're interested in taking it, you can find the link down in the description. Now, all of this becomes very obvious on event day. When everything has been handled correctly with your speakers, you can feel it, and so can your speakers. Let's think about it from their point of view. They arrive and they immediately know where it is that they're supposed to be. They know who their contact is, they know when their rehearsals begin, they know when they're getting mic'd up, and they know where to be and when. Nothing feels uncertain and nothing feels improvised. And from your side, you know who's arriving, who's checked in, who's running late, and who's looking after them. And if something changes, you find out early enough so that you can make those pivots that are necessary. I remember this one event where we had a speaker whose flight was delayed, and we honestly didn't know if she was going to make it or not. But because we could see what was happening the whole time, we weren't blindsided. We knew where things stood, and we were able to come up with potential backup plans in case we needed to initiate them. The delay itself was still a problem, but because we saw it coming, we were able to work around it and make plans. That's what a good setup actually gives you. Not necessarily control of everything, because no setup is actually going to give you that, but it does give you awareness. And awareness provides you time to respond to the small things before they become bigger issues. Which brings us to the question that's been underneath everything we've been discussing so far. Where does all this information actually live? Because every bit of this has pointed to one idea, and that is that the information needs a home. A place where you can see where every speaker stands without you having to go digging through all your emails. You can absolutely build that yourself. Plenty of people do. But if you rather start with something that's already built, that's exactly why I built the Speaker Logistics Tracker. The tracker has dedicated spots for things that you're already tracking. Speaker logistics, session assignments, travel details, bios and photos, and rehearsals. And because those pieces all connect with one another, you just enter the information once and it tracks along the way within the document. Need a quick snapshot about the speaker before they arrive? It's there. Need to hand a team member what they need? It's there. Need travel details, rehearsal timings, or session details? Right there. At a company I work for, we often would pull the speaker information to provide for leadership for upcoming meetings or dinners they might have with their guests. Having a tracker like this will allow you to easily pull that information. Why? Because it's organized and detailed. What you're really getting here is visibility. A place where speaker coordination lives outside of your inbox, outside of your head, outside of your world, and allows your team to be able to assist you in any way they can. So if there's one thing I hope you hold on to from all of this, it is this. The weight of hosting speakers has never really been about how much work there is. It's about how much of that work has been living inside of you, inside your inbox, inside your memory, inside of a million different conversations that you've had. When the details live in a connected setup, the work doesn't disappear, but how it sits on you changes. Status becomes visible, updates become easier, your team can step in, and you're no longer the only one holding the big picture. And that's worth building towards, whether you want to build it yourself or start from something that's already done. If you'd like the Speaker Logistics Tracker, it's linked in the description. It's that connected setup that's already built and ready for your speaker information to be added to it. You enter your speakers, the structure is already there, and from the very first entry, your event speaker side will start to feel different.